Well, welcome back to my B-Lawn talk for part 3. Here we're going to look at a real example, look at some of the problems that I had, and then also look at how do you maintain a B-Lawn. So here's an example from my backyard, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. I had water in my basement due to a faulty drainage tile system. And so in the spring of 2018, I had this issue couldn't get the contractor to come until the fall, till like September of 2018. So in September of 2018, when he was done, because you can't see it from here, but to the left, to the front of my house, it drops down a good 10 feet or more. And so I needed to be sure that wasn't going to erode away. So I seeded that with a regular grass seed. Well, the contractor did actually, and he chopped up and sprayed straw over that. So at any rate, I did that because I just didn't want the erosion. In the back, I decided to wait because I could have maybe done it in the fall later, but I didn't have the seed, honestly. And so by the time I got my act together, I decided to do the spring of 2019 for the B-Lawn in the back. Now there's a couple issues here. Number one, this contractor's a neighbor. He's a great guy. He's very honest, reasonably priced, but he didn't have a great soil. This is really like a stony clay. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of stones showing up in there. And anyway, I was worried that this wasn't going to work, but it did work out. So that's one lesson that we'll talk about. So in May, at the end of May, I'm in northern Maine above 47 degrees north latitude. So I'm right on the Canadian border. So we'll have a later spring compared to a lot of the United States. And so it's late May. I seed it, I mulch it, and then I water it. So I kept this watered, and here you can see so that was late May. Here's the beginning of August, and you can see it's coming in. Mostly it was the clover first, some of the grass. The creeping thyme is where you see these patches. So it's coming in slowly, the creeping thyme. And here's a shot a couple years later, July of 22, and you can see that their flowers have established. Pretty much all the space is occupied by plants. So I have fescue here, Dutch white clover, and creeping thyme. The self-heal did not do well. Although in the rest of the yard, I have plenty of self-heal. So how do you maintain this? Well, first of all, you want that new lawn to get established. Wait till it gets to at least 5 inches in height before you mow it. Then when you mow, you want to mow it at least 3 inches or higher. So it's a pretty deep lawn. If you're concerned about rodents, I understand that. But I think they can get picked off by birds, even if it's only 3 inches, perhaps. The next thing is they recommend that you mow as infrequently as possible, like every other week or every third week, and delay mowing when possible. Now there's an issue here, and I'll talk about it after the next component here. And that is, they recommend that you mulch and that you don't bag the cuttings. And also, it's really important to keep the blade sharp so you get a nice clean cut and you have less chance of drying and disease and that kind of thing. But anyway, if you delay mowing or you mow less frequently, you will get clumps of cuttings and that could choke over your lawn. So when I do this, what I do is I wait till that dries and then I come out and I blow it back over the grass. That way you're not bagging it, but you could bag it, I guess. But it would be best if you could apply that mulch and allow that to be fertilizer for your lawn. So just keep that in mind. But the important thing is to mow at 3 inches or higher when you do mow, regardless of the frequency, and you will have flowers. You're going to reduce the number of flowers, but you will still have flowers. Make sure you water and weed as necessary. And I would say wait to fertilize. If you are putting in a new lawn right away, do not fertilize until that lawn is established. And then if you do fertilize, make sure you minimize that fertilizer use. You don't want it growing so fast that you're going to have to mow, and you don't want to fertilize so that it's going to be going into the fall and not going to sleep as soon as it should. So here we are back at the July 2022 lawn, and you can see some clover, some creeping thyme, and this is right before I'm going to mow. And then this is after I mow the lawn. Now, I know it's a little hard to see, but there are still flowers. There's another issue for me, and that is I cannot mow at 3 inches. My mower only goes up to about 2.5 inches. But I still do have, if I were able to zoom in here, you would still see plenty of clover and some creeping thyme. In fact, I don't know at this resolution if you'd be able to see that, but they are there. So as I zoom in here, you'll see some clover and you'll see some pink areas. If you look up in the top left, you'll see some pink areas. That is the creeping thyme. And down here on the towards the bottom right, you may see a little bit of creeping thyme flowers, but it's in there. And as this grows in the next few days, there's going to be more and more flowers anyway. So there's always some kind of floral resource for the bees. So it is working. It'd be nice if I could raise up my mower a little bit, but I can't. So what are some of the lessons that I learned? Well, I did plant self-heal, and you may have noticed I didn't say there were self-heal in the lawn. I cannot find it, although it's native and I have it in other parts of my yard. I'll explain why I think that's the case. The seeding was very uneven, and the reason being is I did not use a spreader. I hand sowed. And so you can see it's kind of the tone's a little uneven and the texture's a little uneven. And that's because I did not use a spreader. So that would have been more advisable, and I would have had a more uniform tone and texture. Some people may not like this. They like that even lawn color. But I think it would have been a lot better if I had used a spreader. The other thing is about my fall planting. Again, the fall planting was not a bee lawn. Because I was concerned. From this picture, I'm looking to the backyard, but behind me, it drops down easily 10 feet. And I needed to make sure that this was not going to erode away, because water comes out of my yard and runs down this area and then out behind me. So we seeded this right away. But what I did do, even though I planted this in September, it had at least 50 to 60% of it took pretty well. So the early fall planting worked in that I'm sure it minimized some of the erosion. I did not have soil that I could see in my driveway, which is at the bottom here. And then what I did is the following spring, it actually might have been a year later, I planted creeping thyme, hand planted in some creeping thyme that I had grown in pots. So that has filled in the side yards a little bit. But in terms of the actual bee lawn in the back, the good news is despite this stony clay and the poor soil, it worked. The clover came in really quickly. The lawn is thriving fine. I'm very satisfied with it. The lower mower is still working. I would have more flowers, no question, a lot more flowers if I could raise that up even 1/2 inch. And once established, I did not need to water this. In fact, even in up here in northern Maine in 2020, we had a very dry summer after the spring, and the backyard never browned up, even though other parts of my yard might have a little bit. And so anyway, I have not had to water this backyard at all. Fertilizer, I never used it. I think, sure, it would be a lot greener if I had used some fertilizer, but my well is just directly below this. I think the clover helps quite a bit in terms of providing nitrogen, so I have not used it. If I wanted this deeper green, I guess I could use a fertilizer, but I find it unnecessary. So anyway, I appreciate you listening here. Again, all you have to do is search online for bee lawn, and you'll find the University of Minnesota website, and they have great detail and links to other information about lawns. I recommend that you check that out. And with that, I will say thank you very much for listening. Hopefully this might entice you to do something, even if it's a few square feet. The more the merrier. It's going to help all of our pollinators, especially the bees. Thanks for listening. Take care.